Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling.
Hello, and welcome to our first episode, Session 0 of Broken Neon. Hello, my name is Scott. I am here with Rodney. You may know us from such games as Twin Cities by Night Lament and Twin Cities by Night Revelations of Kei. How you doing, Rodney?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad. Before we get started, let me introduce you to our world. Setting of the game, we will be utilizing the Cyberpunk Red Core rulebook with additional rules from the Edge Runner's mission kit. Our setting, the year is 2078, 1 year after the events of Cyberpunk 2077, as if the Temperance ending has occurred. Saburo Arasaka is still the head of his company, and the world is reeling from the fact that the wealthiest now have basically become immortal. The war with Militech is heating up, as both sides are foregoing any ethical restrictions for weapons productions. So grab your BD Halo, and let's jack in. All right. So, the first thing that we're going to do, well, before we get started, how you doing, Rodney?
I'm doing well. It's a little cold out here, you know, where I'm at. It's been a little hectic, but overall, I'm incredibly excited to start this game.
Okay. And have you ever played Cyberpunk before?
I played the cyberpunk genre. I played a long time ago, like Shadowrun. I played Mirror Shades, and kind of the different, like, I don't know if they refer to that as like OSR versions, but mostly either short stints or very long time ago. So this will be the first time really diving into it.
Okay. Well, we'll take it step by step. And let's have some fun as we get a character built. The first thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you time, and I want you to look at page 29 of the core rulebook, and as you go from page 29 forward, look at those and pick a role.
Absolutely.
And take as much time as you need. And I am here to answer all questions.
Sure thing. So the first question I have, this campaign, is it kind of centered around the idea of the war between, is it Arasoka? Is that the correct?
The idea that I have for this campaign is that how does these massive level machinations affect the bottom line? That's one of the things that we're going to delve into over these next sessions, is how this is going to be a street level campaign. So how the machinations of these mega corporations and these megalomaniacal people in charge, how do their actions affect what's going on in the street?
Awesome. I love that. With that being said, I kind of took a quick peek, and like with the setting, the idea, and like just the options that are available. I think I want to run with a solo.
Okay. So a solo it is. All right. So Cyberpunk character generation is a bit different. Most systems that you play with, the first thing that you roll up is your character's stats. And those stats derive everything else. In Cyberpunk, the first thing that we're going to do is, does your solo have a name?
Let me think. I have sort of a name in mind.
Okay.
I'm thinking, for right now, we'll put it as Axel Rourke.
Axel Rourke?
Yes.
And what is Axel Rourke's street name or his handle? And
now his handle is like, oh, go ahead.
And if you can't think of one right now, that's perfectly fine. Maybe one might pop out during the Lifepath generation, or it might come to you in a moment of, it might just pop in at any moment.
Yeah, let's keep going with the character gen, and we'll see if one rolls off the tongue. And
okay,
after some Lifepath decisions or rolls.
Okay, but before we go, I have some questions about the role that you chose.
Sure.
What about this role interests you?
I think the idea of either being some sort of like gun for hire guardsman, or like even just basically a survivor kind of really speaks out right in this world. Before we had kind of talked a little bit about the world going on here and how it affects the bottom, and I feel like solos are kind of like the perfect people to be put in that position, where I assume that they're choosing a life of at least some sort of significance, right, rather than trying to scrape by on their own.
Okay. Another question. What are your expectations of fulfillment with this role?
I'm expecting to get kind of right into the nitty-gritty action of what it's like to live in this world, right? I know that there's a lot of tension, a lot of conflict, and I imagine that this style of character will be right up in the center of everything.
So you're right there. You want to be like right there in the middle of the violence and the decadence of this world.
Yeah, I want to hear, see, and smell what's going on with this world. Awesome. I imagine that with a solo, you kind of find out firsthand what's going to happen, and that's kind of where I want to be.
And my last and final question: how do you see this role affecting Night City?
I see this role going pretty much one of two ways, right? With someone being right in the dead center of action, they're either gonna go out in a blaze of glory, or make a major dent, something that, whoever is in the higher echelons of these mega corporations is going to see, right? They're going to see the dent being made. I'm not sure in what way, in what method he's going to go about it, but I assume that there's either going to be a blaze of glory or some sort of attraction from someone way above his pay grade coming down to see what's going on.
Possibly. Because the only way that legends are made in Night City is they've got to die. There's no such thing as a living legend in Night City. Quote, modern lore of Cyberpunk, it's best to snuff it, and snuff it big, preferably in mid-op. All right. So now that we're talking about solos, let's jump to page 45, and we're going to start our Lifepath generation.
All right.
Okay, now we can do this one of two ways. You can pick up a D10 and roll it, and let your fate decide, or you can look over that and choose one.
I am all about letting fate decide.
All right.
Do you have a preference on where I roll this die, or
no? Because
pick it up and throw it?
Yeah, actually, I do have a preference. If you look to the left of your character sheet on the table, you'll see your own dice tray that is color-coded to the color you chose.
I see that.
You just keep the dice in there, that'd be great. And looks like you rolled a 9.
Awesome.
So that's East Asian.
Alrighty.
Okay. And then so, with East Asian, we have a few choices to make. Are you from... Is Axel from China? Is his cultural origin from China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Taiwan?
Oh man, let's go with Korea.
Okay.
My wife loves her Korean dramas, so let's start there.
Okay. And then, what languages might you know? So, Korean, do you know Korean? Or do you know... Let's go ahead and back that up just a second. Is Axel first, second, or third generation Korean? Was he born in Korea, or was he born in Night City to Korean parents?
Yeah, let's say he's third generation. Let's say born to Korean parents, right? But basically he's grown and lived here.
Okay. Now, language-wise, was his environment... Did his parents speak English all the time, or did they speak Korean?
I imagine that they likely spoke Korean, but I imagine that they probably is English the dominant language in Night City?
The dominant language in Night City is actually street slang, but yes, the dominant language is depending on where you're at, will be in the Watson area. So that's where you have Japantown and the Kabuki district. So it's so there are pockets that do speak Japanese. So it's also quite apropos that there is pockets that speak solely Korean.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that they would speak primarily Korean.
Okay.
So we can go with Korean, or I imagine it's either Korean or English, depending on what would be more useful. Right.
Okay. So honestly, this is all you. So if you say you want it's all Korean, then boom. So now, if you look at the middle column of your skills, you will see languages, and underneath street slang, can you please write Korean and set your skill rank in Korean at 4?
All right. Is that the level?
Yeah, that's the level.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, so I have some questions about your cultural region.
Absolutely.
What about this cultural region interests you?
I imagine that this is very the cultural region is probably a lot of like strict business practices. It's probably very what's the word I'm looking for? Modern style, right? I'm not sure exactly, like, so when I picture cyberpunk style, I kind of picture like almost like 90s Tokyo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And so that I imagine that style combined with, like, you know, the sleek business style.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's very, very what's the word I'm looking for? It's another word for like stylish or fashionable, I guess.
Fashion. Okay, so fashion. Your fashion sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's probably really, really unique to the area.
Okay.
That plus food, you know, etc.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now if you look at your moving from left to right from your character sheet over to the next page of your character sheet, you'll see on the upper left-hand corner of the first column should be your cultural region. So please go ahead and put Korea in there. And then while you're doing that, what life experiences while being from this cultural region influenced your character?
Oh man. That's a tough one. I imagine initially, right, there's probably a heavy culture of respect. So that probably really, really influenced my character's style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I'm not too sure just yet.
Okay, that's fine.
It's something that I definitely want to explore. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we can explore that. And then the last and final question about this is, was there a learning curve adapting from your character's culture to the streets of Night City?
I would say there absolutely was, right? With it being strictly like Korean, right, raised in a Korean environment, household, and with there being like a strict district of like that would speak or had that cultural, right, or that cultural sense. I imagine that most of the time was spent there in that area.
Okay.
Most of his life grew up in this area, so adapting to everything else that this place had was probably a culture shock or shift that he had to adapt to.
Now, I've been to Korea multiple times, so there is this there is just this way that everything is done there. You know, everything has it feels almost that everything has its own order of operations, from just how you pay at a bodega to how you ride on the train to how you drive, to how you order food, to how you eat your food, to how you walk on a street. Everything is orderly. So I'm assuming, and let me know how you think about this, is that growing up in that cloistered area of that little Korean district, it might have been, 2 blocks, 2, maybe 3, 4 blocks, but that was primarily that Korean district, and nobody stepped outside of that until one day you stepped out, and all of a sudden it was night and day. From all of a sudden, everything was orderly, everything had its place, to once you stepped into the larger district where, that culture shock of, oh my God, we're not in Kansas anymore. Look at that. There's a woman who's like literally walking down the street, and all she's wearing is pasties. Oh my God, that person just shot a person in the back of the head. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. How not to dictate, but to give ideas.
No, I'm all for that, right? And especially because I've never been to Korea myself, but just seeing what you described is very, very reminiscent, at least of like the shows that I've watched, right? Where everything does have its place and everything has this particular order, and if things happen, they're dealt with in a certain manner, in a certain light, right? Going from that to what could be considered like either chaos or controlled chaos would be this massive shift in ideology.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we're going to move on, and we're going to give Axel a personality. So if you could advance to page 46.
All right.
And once again, you can choose one of these 10, or you can let fate decide.
Yep, I'm all for fate, so let's go for it.
And your D10 is in there we go. And it looks like you rolled a 10. So
awesome.
Friendly and outgoing. Do you want to stick with that or choose something different?
No, I mean, friendly and outgoing sounds good, especially for a solo style game.
Okay. All right. So, now, if you just following along on your character sheet, you should see a box for personality.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you can just go ahead and put friendly and outgoing in there.
All right. Should be in there.
Okay. And then here's some questions. What life events shaped your character to have this personality?
Sure. So I imagine growing up in this this little tight-knit small community. Right. While initially you think it would be more sheltered and then trying to, perhaps remain, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, controlled, right? Mm-hmm. Or like, or more, like mindful. I imagine that instead he developed a personality to where he adapted to climbing whatever social structure existed in that area, right? So instead of becoming what most people would assume out of a small child, right, in this small community, he learned really to navigate the social ranks and the respect the respect style culture, and really became this person who was was able to quickly gain friends and trust, right? As opposed to be reserved, right?
Nice.
And more.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
And it's not necessarily like I'm not sure where, exactly, but he could be like manipulative, or he could just be very, very genuine, and people respect that. I haven't chosen like that style yet, but I imagine that either one of those could be very well the case for this.
Either one could very well be. Just because, it says friendly and outgoing does not mean that you're friendly and outgoing and you do not have ulterior motives behind that friendly and outgoingness.
Exactly. And there's a lot of different methods, It's not necessarily like bubbly, it could be, the very, very come off as a very trusting and very, thoughtfully worded person. So I think that there's a really good range to really choose from there.
Yeah, I'm friendly and outgoing, but my friendly and outgoingness does have a price.
Exactly.
All right. Now, my next question, is this personality a help or a hindrance to the character?
I think it's an absolute help. Now, there can be hindrances, of course, but I imagine this is why he's why he was able to leave that district, that area, right? To branch out further instead of staying stuck and stationary in one area. Now he's starting to reach out to perhaps people that have ventured in, talking about, life outside this district or what it could be like, and which eventually led him to chasing down this path.
Okay.
So in his eyes, I think it's a help.
Yeah. All right. That's good. No, that's perfectly fine. And then my last and final question on this is, how do others react to your personality?
I think within the culture that he's in right now, I imagine at first it comes off as abrasive. At least, especially to like traditionalists, it probably comes off as overbearing. But I feel as though like the more you're around him and his presence, the more you come to respect the way he is.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Now if you can jump to page 47.
Alrighty.
Let's talk about Axel's clothing style.
Oh man. I love these options.
Now you can pick one, or you can let fate decide.
So I'll let fate decide first, and if I'm not vibing with it, we'll go ahead and swap it up.
All right.
But I'll go ahead and roll the 2d10.
Actually,
one
it's
for
just
each
1d10.
column.
This is 1d10.
Do you want one for each column, or just because there's the clothing style and the hairstyle?
Yeah, it's a clothing style and a hairstyle.
Oh, I got you. I see it on the sheet. Never mind. All right. This is why you're the GM, you're the storyteller.
It's all good. All right, so it looks like you rolled a 9, which you're wearing nomad leathers, which is like a Western style.
I am so ready for that. I'm cool with that because, again, in my mind, he probably had the pop fashion beforehand, and then moving out of that district or becoming like this solo, right? Picking up this job, he probably adapted his fashion sense to this like Western style.
Okay, well that's just like one of the ideas. So it's like so I look at it like this. Nomad leathers, I look at nomad leathers like one of 4 options. We could go biker, leather chaps, torn off shirt, leather vest, possibly a leather jacket, maybe Western, right? So those, leather pants, a shirt, kind of Western, kind of that neo-Western look. Another one is tribal, right? So maybe it's a, you've got aspects of certain native cultures kind of weaved in. It could be that it's biker leathers with Indian beadwork, or it's biker leathers with a bolo tie and with a top with a cowboy hat that has a bullet hole in it, right? It can be anything but generally along that line. That's the way I look at it.
Sounds good.
So
right now, like what comes off the top of my mind is like is a Western style, kind of like like a duster, right, with like leather fingerless gloves. I'm thinking like obviously some sort of like cowboy or wide brimmed hat. Like the large, or not like the large, but the high tech like glasses, goggles kind of style, almost like steampunky. But I'm not 100% sold yet.
Okay.
So
all right, that's fine.
Right now, is it okay if I keep that for now and then we'll see?
Yes.
Okay.
This is your character. It's not mine. So, this is your interpretation of what the book says.
Awesome.
And now you can choose your hairstyle to go along with that, or you could roll the D10 and let fate decide that, you truly are going to live the style over substance life of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, let's go with that. What's a 1?
A mohawk.
A mohawk. I'm all for it.
Oh, all right. Now, I'm going to ask you a question about the mohawk.
Sure.
Would your character have tech hair? And what tech hair is, it's you can like literally change it's like, instead of having normal regular hair, your hair has been replaced with basically LED filaments. So you could think of like those LED lights. That's what your hair would look like.
Oh man. Now, does that count as like cybernetics, or is that like
what? We're in character creation, so it does not count against. It doesn't count against you, but it's
You're right.
Because basically tech hair is it's a way cosmetic. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a cosmetic. So there's no humanity lost for cosmetic stuff. In my world.
Because I would love some tech hair.
All right.
That's awesome.
So I will mark that down, and when we get to cybernetics, we'll remember to put in your tech hair. Okay. Now, I have some questions about your clothing style.
Sure.
What does your character feel when they put these clothes on?
I would think that he believes that he is I want to say like heroic, right? Like maybe not like in the true sense of like hero, but he has the qualities of like being that badass, being that cool guy, right? When he slips these on, he probably feels probably when more so that outgoing personality really shines, really comes out, right? It's an expression of himself.
I really, really like it. Now, how does your style affect your character outwardly?
I imagine it makes him stand out, right? First of all, right? So he kind of intends it to. He wants to be like sort of peacocking, right? He wants to show his feathers, his wings. And I imagine that that's what it's done for him, whether it be good or bad in the past, right? I imagine that it's probably caused some like bad first impressions, right? But it's also probably gotten him a job or two or something.
Yeah. And another question. And this, what about your character's hairstyle is the first thing that others see?
Oh man. They probably see like I imagine it's like it's a neon glow that like is changing, right? So in my mind, it's sort of lava lampy, right?
Ooh, love it.
So I imagine that the first thing they see is kind of that like that ombre look going through the front to the back, right, of different colors, like a lava lamp.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Okay, now moving on to our next thing, the next table that is below our clothing and hairstyle is the affection that you are never without. Now here, you can choose, or you can let fate decide.
Oh man, you know me. Let's go ahead and let some fate decide.
Okay.
All right.
Nose rings.
Alrighty.
You want to stick with it or make another
choice?
choice?
Let me think. I think I want to make another choice.
Okay.
And
now, you can just choose, or you can roll again.
Let me roll again one more time, and then if not, I have one in mind.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of letting fate decide, but and that's perfect. So.
All right. So strange contacts.
Oh yeah. Let's stick with that one.
And you can put yeah. So your so there really isn't a place on here for your the affection you're never without, but you can put that here in fashion.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, I've got some questions regarding this.
Sure.
How did your character come to covet this affection?
So I imagine right now there's probably one of two ways. One, it was payment after a job, right, where somebody couldn't pay with money, or it was given as a gift from maybe someone he was really close to back in his district.
Okay.
So right now I'm not sure how like contacts or allies or anything works like that. My first instinct is that I'd love it to be a gift, right? Because this is something you can't go without, right? Or something you really don't want to go without.
I get.
So I imagine that this is probably when he decided to change his life, right? This is probably given from maybe a childhood friend who was close to him.
Okay. All right. Like it. I like it. So, how does your character make sure that this affection is forefront in their style?
Well, they say that the eyes are, the windows to the soul, right? And I think that would definitely reflect, right? With them being strange contacts, not only do I believe that they change colors, right, in accordance with like either how he wants his hair or his style to feel. I imagine that they also hold some sort of strange shape, right? Right now, the first thought that comes to mind is that the pupils, whatever shape or thing like that they might be, that they react to sound, right? So when somebody's speaking to him, they like pulse with the sound of the person's voice.
Oh,
right.
Nice.
To make it like really like enticing to look at, right? You want to look at him because you see your own voice, right, in sound waves.
Nice. Okay. So our next, now let's jump to page 48.
All right.
So one of this is a two. We're gonna get two. There's two columns. So the first one is what does Axel value most?
Alrighty, let's let fate decide, and then see if fate puts us on a good path.
Can't say that honor is, that's the right path.
Yeah.
And that fits so well with that Korean and that Eastern Asian.
I agree. It was meant to be.
Yep. Okay. Now, before we get going, what or who influenced your character positively or negatively to influence this value?
The first thing I'll say positively, right, is probably parents, right? The parents probably instilled this sense of honor, this sense of self, right, into him, to where they instilled in him the belief that he can be anyone and anything he wants to be, right, so long as he preserves his self. And his own honor. Negatively, I would probably say that there were people in society. I don't have any direct names or links right now, but that probably forced the opposite onto him, right? That used his own honor as a weapon, right? Mm-hmm. When he would speak up or speak out or try and diverge from the norm, right? There were people who would tell him that that's shameful, right? That it's he's making a fool or embarrassment of himself or his family, right? Almost like as a weaponized, idea.
Now I could see that as being that Korean, and we'll get to your family in a few roles, but I can totally see that your family and basically your community already had what Axel was going to do from the moment Axel is going to take over for his father's whatever, right? Or he's going to do this in this community. And the moment that you broke out of that community, whether it was because you had to, because of a tragedy, or you chose to because you wanted to experience a bigger or better life, but because you broke out of that mold is when your honor was tested. And
exactly.
That's when they used it against you. And could have been some friends, could have been family members, could have been secondary or tertiary acquaintances.
Exactly.
Okay. Now that you're talking about the way we feel about people, you can either choose one or you can let fate decide and roll that die.
Oh man, my favorite part. Oh.
Stay neutral?
Normally I'd think that's an easy out, so I think I'm going to roll again and we'll see, because I feel like, oh no.
You know what? Go ahead and put just highlight the die.
Uh-huh.
and then hit F a couple times. Seven. People are obstacles to be destroyed if they cross me.
I like that, right? I feel like that's the attitude of a solo.
And also, I think that what we discussed earlier might also feed into that. Like, the people that were, that up until this point, but before I get on there, let me ask you a question. Who was the first person who affected the character to start feeling this way?
So, in my mind right now, my first thought is the person who gave me those contacts, like this close friend of mine, I imagine it was their parents. Right? Because right now, I'm seeing my parents as like these people who truly support me. Right? So right now, but I'm seeing somebody that I was probably close to, probably looked up to as well. Right? Kind of crush that belief, right? Instill that belief. Right.
Okay. We can roll with that. And then, what was the tipping point where the character solidified this outlook?
So right now I'm thinking that maybe there was a moment where I was forbidden with communication with my friend right now.
All right.
Or is what I'm thinking right now, and then that was the moment of like of that tipping point. I'm still open to like other concepts or thoughts right now. But that's where the first thought is.
All right. Yeah. And you know what? We're not locked into that. It can, we're going into like friends and enemies. It might be that a later role might dictate, and we could, oh, that's the point.
Yeah, I really like that idea, because right now, like, it doesn't feel like fulfilling for the character right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like there needs to be like much more impact, but I don't want to make any strong decisions until we have the rest of the life path figured out.
And then, how does this outlook manifest on a daily basis?
The outlook manifests, right? Probably mostly internally, right? To where he's probably this very, very super nice, kind, right? Or at least outwardly, right? Social person, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk, right? We do these things, we have these deals, right? But if things aren't met, right? He starts planning, right? He starts coming up with some sort of path of destruction for the person that ultimately made the decision, right, to ruin his day, right? So I imagine that it manifests initially internally, right, and it comes out in this calculation of what to do next, right? What violent end is this going to come to?
Okay.
And I imagine that it will be a violent end based on what he's been through and what he's doing right now.
All right. Okay, now moving on. Now we're going to look at what we're going to go. Now there are two tables, right? And we're going to go from right to left. So the first thing I want you to do is who is your most no, I'm sorry, we're going to go from left to right. Who's the most valued person in your life? You can choose or you can roll.
All right. I've been talking a lot about a friend. So I kind of want to choose that.
Go right ahead.
So let's go ahead and choose a friend.
All right. Okay. And now I've got 3 questions.
Sure.
What is this person's name?
That's a good question. Let me think. Give me just 1 second.
I also have a bunch of random tables. So if you are at a loss, I can pull one out really, really quick randomly.
Sure. Yeah. No. The first thing, I was thinking of is I was thinking that it might be probably a female or a girl, right?
All right.
Because I imagine that it was probably there's probably a friendship that existed, like more like a crush as well, right?
Okay.
And that kind of had this 2-layer bond between them. And if you have a list of names, I'm all for it, because the first ones that come to my mind are, ones from video games or TV shows that I played. So,
okay, hold on a second.
Awesome.
So, hold on just 1 second. I'm gonna jump. Let me grab my dice over here, and how about Seyun Jin?
That sounds great to me.
Seoyoon. Last name Jin. Jin.
Perfect.
What actions did this person do to make them so valuable in your character's life?
Beyond the gift that was given, I imagine that probably one of the only people to truly encourage me to be who I was, right? Me to be the person that I dreamed I would be, right? And then probably in my mind, right? She probably let me be the hero that I wanted to be, whether that be in pretend, whether that be in instances getting older, right? She probably encouraged me and let me play that role in her life.
Okay. And where is this person now?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I want to say I just want to say lost for in terms of a general purpose, but I don't know the setting too well. I think it'd be really cool if either a prisoner or moved to a different area or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what other thoughts you might have on that.
Well, I have some ideas, and once we get done with, because we're also going to do friends and tragic love affairs.
All right.
We could have, we could be looking at just a tragic love affair.
True.
Okay, and now let's look at our most valued possession.
All right.
And again, we can roll or choose.
I think I'm gonna roll.
7 again. A musical instrument.
Oh man. Sounds good to me. I think the that coupled with the contact that relates or that reacts to sound waves, I think that could be a very cool pairing.
Okay. Now we can go, this doesn't have to be anything like a guitar or a piano or anything like that. We could go, this could be as simple as a one of those old wind up music players that are in a jewelry box, or it can be as elaborate as a synth piano.
So my first thought is and it depends on like how what's one abstract you're willing to make this. Are there still like old time relics that have survived?
Yes.
Because my first thought is like an 8-track or CD player. Right? Kind of like that retro style. Or are we going for more like a solid instrument?
How about this? It's a retrofitted Walkman. It has this cassette tape in it that was so well preserved that it still has radio it's 4 hours of radio from 2006.
I think that's perfect.
I mean, not that I'm saying that your character is Star-Lord or anything like that, but you know.
No, I love that vibe. I'm here for it.
I like the vibe that you wanted to go with something classic, and let's look at that. How would that, because how would that survive that long? But this is Cyberpunk. Anything can happen.
Yeah, all well, right. And I mean his whole deal right now is wanting to be heroic, right? And like he's taken on this Western style clothing, right? It's very possible that he's picked up on the heroes of that time, right? Depending very on like possible. His knowledges and stuff, right? Or the lore or the legends that have been told.
Exactly. So. Because when we look at our world today, Night City is in California. But when we look at California today, we think like the Los Angeles Metroplex.
Yeah.
And then it sprawls out. Well, most of that is gone. Like we're talking we have destroyed our planet. So much so that, let me move right here really quick. Just come right here. So much so. Do you see how I changed the map?
Yeah.
Now let's take a look at that, right? Here's where Night City is. You can see, if you zoom in, you can see where Night City is down here in Southern California. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And a lot of these places, like the further north you go, it's filled with radioactive fallout and fires that just haven't stopped burning. Jeez. You go into Idaho, into Montana, places like that. Still nothing but radioactive fallout. You go down to places like Little Rock, down in the south, in the southern bend. There is bioplagues that still haunt the area. The population that we know it is pretty much decimated as people cling to these, it looks like there's a lot of mega cities. But if you think about that today, like, this is paltry compared to the way that the American population was once spread out, right?
Yeah.
Now, due to natural disasters, plagues, nuclear fallout, everyone is cloistered in these mega cities because that's really the only that's the last of the inhabitable land that's in these states.
Yeah.
And the rest of where these vast wide open spaces are, that's where the nomads are at. That's like, you go into those areas, that's like walking into Mad Max. That's literally what it's like. It's Mad Max territory. People killing over gasoline. Unlike these mega cities, which, where the opulent live so well, but the poor and the downtrodden who live on the streets, these buildings are so, these mega cities are so dense, it's always dark on the streets, even when the sun is out. Because these mega buildings, these massive towers, these urban sprawls that are so densely packed, you don't see the sun. You've got to leave the city to see the sun. Or be well off enough to be able to move to the top 50 floors of a mega building. But that's the world that we have. That's the world that we kind of populate in this game. All right. So with that being said, what we just kind of talked about, what is the significance of this item to your character? This tape player.
Yeah, I think that this thing probably grounds him, right? It reminds him of who he really is, right? This simple piece of tech, it's probably one of those moments of like, I'm sure everyone has, or like many people have felt this, man, I was born in a wrong era kind of feeling at one point or another, right? And this thing really makes him feel like that, right?
Okay.
Like, it makes him feel not only like this heroism, right, of these this is what the people that I strive to be listen to, right? This is the same thing that they would have been doing their heroic deeds to, right? But also, like, man, if only I was born 100 years earlier, not exactly, but 50 years earlier, could have made a difference.
I hear you on that. And that also answers to the third question: what does this item symbolize to your character, that you actually answered? But now, let's go ahead and jump to page 49.
All right.
And for this, your family's background. You can choose, or you can let fate decide. Because some of those I don't think would fit well with what we've established thus far.
No, I agree. What do you think of the idea of corporate managers? For that area, which is probably why you breaking out was seen as like this, oh my god, because they're corporate managers. They're not I wouldn't say that they were upper echelon management,
but I would say that they were that first level of management for. They produced the chips and assembled Braindance Halos. And your family was that, that first level management where, they had a small little organization that would build these things, and they built some of the best Braindance Halos, and they built it, and they were paid well for it. They didn't live the life of opulence, but they lived better than the people on the other side of the block.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot, and like in my mind, right, he was only allowed to have this sort of an attitude mentality because he lived a privileged lifestyle. Right? He only dared to dream because he was already comfortable here.
I like it. All right. And then if we jump to page 49, if we jump to page 50. I do have two questions.
Yeah.
About your family background. What was your character's dwelling and daily life like?
So the dwelling itself, he probably, I imagine, lived in either a decent house, right? Since his parents had some decent wealth, or I'm not sure if these were like all corporate buildings around this area, or if it was like a nice apartment rather than a house.
It would still be an apartment kind of compound.
Yeah.
Because it's not a mega building, but it's still, a 50-story building where, where people lived because they worked just at the shop, everyone kind of had that area, but it's like a 50-story building. Being in that environment, you didn't live on the first 15 floors. That's where the workers lived.
Yeah.
That's where the street vendors lived. That's where, even though in that Eastern Asian mentality, people took care of each other, but still, they didn't come up to the 16th floor and going down to get out. Sometimes your parents, your mother might have made like an off-color remark about, it's kind of dirty here today, or, oh, I see June is cooking with less refined ingredients. Not just those little itty bitty statements that they were even though they were one step removed, still that beginning, it had that beginning of, I am better, we're better than this.
Yeah, it's that sort of class separation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that they probably lived on like 20th floor or something like that, right, right above these areas, right? I imagine that his dwelling, he probably had a room to himself, right, which I imagine is kind of a big thing for that sort of area style. I imagine it was very much decorated in either heroic figures of the time or of past. I'm not sure how that would look like. But most of his daily life, I assume, at least early on, was likely going to some sort of specialized school, or spending time with the family to really observe the family business. Outside of that, he probably grew up closely with a very few other well-off families, the whatever few existed in this area.
Mhm.
One of which was probably his friend Seiyun Jin.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he probably lived a pretty happy, comfortable life.
Okay. So now, if we jump to page 50, right?
Yeah.
Where now that's talking about your environment, right? Your childhood environment. And we pretty much describe that as a 10, in luxury.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay. Unless you want to try to, this is where, sometimes just talking it out kind of chooses it for us.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
But now here's the thing. No edge runner. No, Axel would not have become an edge runner if there wasn't some form of crisis or tragedy that drove him to move, beyond the confines of that lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
you can choose one or you can roll.
I'm going to roll for that one.
Okay? 9. The family is cursed with a hereditary feud that has lasted for generations.
And that kind of speaks to, if we're talking like the honor culture.
Oh, I got it.
Right.
If you would like some of my storytelling when my brain is going.
Oh, please.
All right. So, your family, the Kims, right? Your surname is Kim. 5 generations ago, the Junes and the Kims had a falling out. And it's because of your relationship, because you're friends with Seiyun Jin. It's because you chose her over your own family. That's what sparked that. That's what sparked you to leave. Not because the family tragedy is you chose the wrong people. Now that's something you can roll with, or you can kind of.
No, I like that. Let's roll with that.
Okay, let's roll with that.
I feel like we're talking about some sort of very, very hard-headed, very, I imagine that this guy probably thinks that no matter what he's doing, it's the right thing, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in doing so, right, in choosing, right, his lifelong friend over his family,
Mhm.
right, he made this, or whether it already existed or whether it truly drove or was truly just a tipping point, right? He drove this feud to become where it started as where it was either a spark or like a dying flame, it erupted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, probably you were told, probably for the longest time, you and Seiyun, you kept your distance. You didn't let either family know that you were friends. And, with all friendships, the tighter that friendship gets, the harder it is to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
And when both sides, when your parents found out, it literally, you might as well have been Johnny Silverhand walking into Arasaka Tower with a nuclear bomb in a backpack and detonating it in their living room.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about the idea of honor and reputation.
Mm-hmm.
this is something that is not only like soul shattering. It's like it'll hurt generations of family.
Yeah.
Right?
It will. Okay. I like it. Okay, now moving on to... I'm not going to ask you any questions because we pretty much just kind of played that whole thing out. But now, if you jump to page 51...
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yep. Jump to page 51. The first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about friends. Now, the way the book is written, it says roll 1d10 and subtract 7. That's not the way that I do it. My house rule is to roll a 1d10 and divide by 2. So the most that you can have is 5, or the least you can have. The least you can have is 1.
All right. Alrighty, so I'll go ahead, pick up this die, and give it a good roll.
All right. 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right. So we've already picked one friend, and that is Seyun Jin. All right.
Yes.
Now we have to do 3 more. Okay.
Okay.
So, let's go ahead. And the first thing we're going to do is roll a d10, and that might another childhood friend. And is this friend male or female?
We'll make them male.
Okay. So let's go ahead and pull this out, and we'll go here with... I need to go to page 45 in my random tables book.
Sounds good.
All right. Hyung Won, HYUNGWON. Last name?
Okay.
Kim.
Huh.
So this person is like it's an old childhood friend. So
Did you say Kim? K-I-M?
Yes.
So probably like a cousin, maybe.
Could be. All right. You know, he was one of the few that was... Now, I don't want to write your character for you, but this is just kind of the way that my brain works.
Yeah.
Because I love telling stories.
I'm here for it.
And I can totally see this play, and I'm literally seeing this play out. You're right. He is your cousin, right? And you know what? He's one of the few that was like, you know what? That old feud is so stupid. Look, Axel, let's be cool. I'll be cool. But you know what? I will help you out, but I can't help you out too much, because you know what? I got to keep my job. But I love you. How does that sound?
I'm all for that. And like,
okay.
I imagine like we're talking like, at least my family was part of this can't remember what it was called, the Halo. What did you call it by chance?
They were Kim's.
No, the device that they made, Brain Dance Halo.
Yeah, Brain Dance Halos.
So I imagine that maybe this maybe this childhood friend was also part of a tech style of either creation or development or mess with tech. I'm not too sure.
Or he could be a really good brain dance editor.
Yeah.
You know? And literally what a brain dance is people don't go to the movies anymore. They literally put on this brain dance halo, and it's like they experience the whole thing.
Oh, man.
Now these brain dances can be anything from an old Western where you're actually riding on the horse, you're shooting the guns, you are at the OK Corral and you're the last man standing, and it ends with you shooting, running out of bullets, and then you get shot and you feel yourself dying.
That's intense.
Yes. To the more sinister, where there are very illicit things that happen. Either you're experiencing having illicit things done to you, or experiencing doing illicit things to others, or there are also, this is 2078. There are erotic ones as well, but I'm not going to narrate that. You can use your own mind.
Fair.
All right. Now we got two more.
Yep. All right. Let me go ahead and roll. Now I like that idea because it's someone who's like distance, but could still affect.
4.
So 2.
So that's a partner or a coworker.
All right. Alrighty. Partner.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now,
I like the idea of either or, really. Are there because I know in what's it called? In Shadowrun, there's kind of the people who work on cars or mechanics, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what they're called.
Those are called operators.
Operators?
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to have some sort of operator friend.
Okay.
Either as a coworker or a partner, right? Somebody that whatever job that I have or whatever jobs come up, if I'm a freelance, right? There's someone that I can always rely on to be to and from, or modify some sort of technology, or I can take it back to them and they can mess with it. I like the idea of somebody who has that sort of tech vibe.
I got you.
As a coworker.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. One of the NPCs of this story is a guy by the name of Dusty. He's a nomad.
I love it.
He's a nomad tech, and he runs with all the Caldos, but he is, he's your tech guy. He's your wheel man.
I love that. Yeah, I think that fits perfectly. Having somebody to go to who let's say whatever this campaign is, I'm planning something, right? We had already talked about how, people are obstacles or how my outlook is. If there's something that needs to be done, I'd love to have somebody I can count on to either get me in or get me out of that situation. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like Dusty would be a great person for that.
Dusty would be a great person for that. And that ties you to one of the NPCs.
Awesome.
Okay. And then
I love that.
One more roll, please.
Sure. Oh.
N. Someone with a common interest or goal.
Awesome. Ultimately, I think that off the top of my head, that one's a tough one for me because that kind of depends on the game.
Would you believe me if I told you that I got you?
Yeah, I would. I'm
All
ready
right.
for it.
Okay. So, you know what? When Axel left and he was literally thrown out of this, thrown out of his family, he didn't, he didn't just become a solo, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he had his honor. Yes, he had, he had his honor. He had, his world was built on structure and order of this Korean life, right? But it was when he got thrown out, when he was literally, ostracized from the building, from his very building, with the clothes on his back. He didn't know about the solo life or any of this until he ran into this female solo who goes by the name of Shadow. And she kind of took him under his wing, and it wasn't that, she took him under his wing. She's like, she taught you this thing, that she taught you what it means, how to survive in the city with nothing, how to make something of yourself. She's the one who taught you, who took you under her wing.
I love that idea.
And that ties you in to another NPC.
I think that's perfect.
She taught you how to, how to work with fixers, how to work with fixers, how to maneuver in the city and not end up dead.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I feel like that's kind of one of the missing pieces of the puzzle that he was really missing, was like, how did he transition into that life? So I think that's perfect.
All right. Everybody has friends, but people have enemies too. And we need to define Axel's enemies. So you can see that there's the chart. You can choose, or you can roll.
Right now, the only one that I would consider, like, right off the bat was maybe an estranged relative. But let's roll and see where enemies take us.
Okay.
And see if we can find, like, a true enemy.
All right. And you roll the 6. A person you work for. We can go with that, or we can go with the estranged relative.
Either one works for me. I don't know.
Since you did roll a 6, and we'll take that 6, divide it by 2, you've had a life, and you have 3 enemies.
Nice.
So a person you work for.
So I imagine maybe it's not somebody that I work for now. Maybe it's somebody that I worked for. Right. I imagine being a solo, you can kind of create enemies real fast. By
I got it.
Failing certain jobs, or yeah.
Would you believe me that I got it for you?
I'm ready for it.
Okay. It was a fixer by the name of Ink. INK. All right. What caused it? You botched a mission. So you caused them to lose face and status. You caused them to lose status. You might have to just... Okay. And what they can throw at you. We're going to do this, so we'll call it themselves and a few others. We'll call it themselves and 4 friends.
All right.
And they are out to murder or maim you. Okay. All right. Let's go back 1 page and roll again.
Oh no.
Eight. A corporate exec. Ooh. All right. And you want to roll it through or choose?
Let's roll that one through. I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh. I'll roll back in the box.
Yeah, please roll it in the box. All right, 5. Deserted or betrayed?
Oof.
So, did you desert them or betray them?
I think, as of right now, I like the idea that I deserted them. In my mind right now, maybe my parents were grooming me for a life of being a part of the corpo world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was placed, in a point of leadership in maybe a different branch or different sect of the company. Whatever
Being
company
groomed.
this is. Yes.
Yeah.
And I abandoned them for this lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, they threw you out and they didn't care what the secondary or tertiary effects were. And here's this corporate exec that, was like, I'm getting ready to groom this person. I'm this, I'm that. And now all of a sudden they have to eat that and start all over again.
Yep, there was time, money, and knowledge invested, and now I'm
Yep.
out there with their secrets, right? So,
And now roll again to see what can they do? Just themselves and a close friend?
maybe they have a private entity that they're tracking down.
Maybe. Maybe it could have been the protege that replaced you.
Yeah, I like that. That's really
And then what are they gonna do?
cool.
Go into a murderous rage and try to rip their face off. Or you can choose one that might be more fitting if you think so.
I think setting them up for a crime or transgression
Like
they did.
Yep.
It. I'm just gonna put setup.
Yeah.
But I imagine
Okay.
that's kind of the corpo world, you know.
Yeah, I believe that is the corpo world. And then one more.
Alrighty. Oh no! Almost.
All right. 8
Same thing.
is another corporate exec.
Should I re-roll that?
No. No. Because now we're talking about your life, right?
True.
You're a solo. You could have, this could have been one.
love it.
Talk about another.
Sounds good. Oh, why does it keep going? All right, here we go.
5. Deserted or betrayed. Now this one,
Betrayed.
I'm gonna say betrayed.
Alrighty.
Oh no. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm just unerasing that. So that way we can distinguish. Alright.
And then I'm gonna say this one. You know what? You probably were hired to do some. This could go back to this could actually go back to what you did for that fixer by the name of Ink, right?
True.
Is the job that you were hired to do butted up against your sense of honor so bad that you betrayed them because you could not do it because you're honor bound by that, and you will not break that.
I like that.
It's an idea.
No, I like it a lot. Because, I mean, at some point, I imagine that I choose my own sanity and humanity over whatever job was available.
I like to think so. Okay.
What can they send, though, is the question. Oh, oops, I just drug it. Here we go. I don't like that.
Don't like that?
No, let's see. How many, they can send an entire city or government or agency.
It? Yeah, no?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
The life of a solo,
Yep. And then, what are they going to do about it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you could choose,
Let's see. I think either backstab them indirectly or set out to murder or maim them.
I like backstab, because that's more corporate.
I think so, too. And making it indirect, make sure that they don't lose face,
Yep. Okay. Now, as we move on, nobody in Night City goes it alone, right?
Yeah.
No one goes it alone. You're going to meet someone sooner or later. Go ahead and roll that D10. How many tragic love affairs did your character have?
A lot.
A lot. We're going to go ahead and just call that 3.
Yeah.
All right. So let's roll your first one. Just didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
And then we can name these. We'll talk off screen.
Yeah.
About a couple things. But okay, let's see another one.
Sounds good.
Personal goal or vendetta came between you and your lover.
Oh, man. Alrighty.
Ooh. A rival cut you out of the action. your bird got poached.
Oh man.
And then
Yep.
if we move to page 53. Now,
All right.
what is your character's life goals? You can roll or you can choose one. I'm pretty sure one's sticking out based on what we talked about. But, you know,
of
how we
course.
built this character.
Yeah, cause pain and suffering, of course. No. Right now, I think there's a couple. Which one stands out for you?
What stood out for me is gain fame
and recognition.
recognition.
I thought the same thing. I wasn't sure of that. So that one, either that one become fear or respected.
Either one.
So let me
Ultimately,
see.
this is your character, so the choice is yours.
I think I'm gonna go with the gain fame. I think that one fits better.
Okay.
I like that one. I imagine that right now, at least where I'm imagining him, is that he wants to be the hero.
All right. Now we've determined who. Axel is. Right. We've just given Axel a very detailed life. Right.
Yes.
Now, jump to page 55, please.
All right.
Now, we're going to determine what type of solo Axel is.
All right.
So for this, you're going to need a D6.
Got one.
All right. So, once again, you can roll or you can choose.
Go ahead and roll.
Okay. A bodyguard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now,
Let me think, because I don't know if I like bodyguard.
okay.
I think I like. Oh, good.
I mean, the way that we are kind of making this, the way his life looks at, kind of the way his life, kind of with his honor-bound sense.
Local vigilante.
Yep.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. I didn't see that choice at first, and I was like, oh.
Okay. And
When I
then
saw it, I
you'll
was like,
see
yeah.
right there where it says role specific life path. That's where we're going to put this in. All right.
Gotcha.
Now, what is his moral compass like? Now, I can see about three of these really fitting in.
Yes. I think probably the will occasionally slip and do unethical or bad things, but it's rare.
Okay.
I think that in terms so I imagine, right, we're living in this world where occasionally you're forced to make a bad decision. Nothing is totally good or bad, right? There's the lesser evil option.
Yes.
And I imagine in that scenario, he wouldn't walk away from the situation. I imagine that he would still choose an unethical or bad thing, even if it was to a lesser detriment. He wouldn't do inaction, if that makes sense.
Because you're an edge runner. You live on the edge. That's where, in that place between right and wrong, and sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you just got to kill a motherfucker to eat that week, Yep. This is a hard life. And you got to do things, being an edge runner means that you don't have a 9 to 5. You get paid when the fixer pays you for, completing a job.
Yeah. So, you know, I might switch that up. I might be willing to bend the rules.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Because you're right? This is a little bit harder of a life. And I imagine that, I don't know her personality, but I imagine the solo who taught me from someone named Shadow, right? Probably taught me that it's more okay to bend the rules than not.
Yeah.
I don't know her personality, but just from the moniker alone.
All
Let's
right.
go with that one.
Okay. Now, what is Axel's operational territory?
I think. Well, let's roll for it.
Okay.
Right now, I'm thinking the whole city, but I don't want to stretch too big.
All right.
So right now, it's a corporate zone.
Yeah. And I would suggest now the corporate zone is, you're like literally after your like about fifth or sixth, run, right? You're still new, you're still green, you really haven't ventured outside of the Watson compound yet.
Yeah.
And I can see that.
All right. Let's do that.
All right. And then last but not least, who is gunning for you?
Oh, man. Let's roll for that one. Number 2.
A booster gang you have tackled earlier. All right.
Oh, no. I did the same thing. That's all right.
It's all good. I'm not saying that this is the easiest, intuitive character sheet to work with, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like it. It gives you a lot of guidance, but also freedom, which is really cool.
Yeah. Mr. Gang. Who runs in? I want to say that that's Tiger Claw territory.
I'll write that down for now.
I just want to make sure that I am correct. Because I am pretty sure that is Tiger Claw. Yeah, it's Tiger Claw territory. Trust you. Trust yourself, man. Trust yourself. You know this. Like the back of your hand. Okay. All right. Now, the most important part is done. Now comes. We have built a very, very, very detailed life of this character.
Yes.